us today to share about the topic about the introduction on COVID-19 and safety guide. So before I invite her, so let me briefly introduce about her background. Dr. Wong. So she's a child specialist and she's also an international board certified lactation consultant. She got her master pediatrics at University Malaya, and she's having served government hospitals for past 14 years. Currently, she is running her own clinic. So without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Wong.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me, Amanda?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, all right. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Amanda, for your kind. First of all, I would like to thank CBI for giving me this opportunity to share with you this very important topic now. The COVID-19, the introduction as well as the precaution. So I would like to also take this opportunity to thank my uplines, Emerald Direct, Paul, Hua and Michelle, up the line Cheryl Ho, Mr. and Mrs. Ho. If not because of them, I wouldn't be present in this platform actually. Okay, so I'll just go straight to the slides. All right, can everybody see this? All right, okay, so today we're going to talk about this COVID-19, coronavirus disease 2019. We know that background, a little bit of the background. It all started from last year, 2019, in December. The first clusters were reported to this Ministry of Health in Wuhan on the 29th of December. So the starting point of the outbreak was believed to be correlated with the Huanan seafood wholesale market. Yeah, so this is a market which is very actively involved in wild animals. So it was found that the viruses were transmitted not only from animals to human, but subsequently from human to human. The isolated viruses were actually named as coronavirus. So this coronavirus is actually not new. It is a group of viruses which, from our knowledge prior to this, those infecting human, there are 6 types of it, but a lot of them are actually related to animals. So let me go briefly towards these types of virus. At the center, as you can see, these are some genetic material here. It comes with a lipid bilayer. This is an envelope, and there are a lot of protein spikes here. So this corona in Latin words is actually referring to crown. So as you can see in Chinese, we call it as a 冠状病毒. So coronavirus. The most 2 famous pandemic were once in 2003, SARS, and 2012, MERS-CoV, which is originated from Saudi Arabia. So the disease was finally named as COVID-19, coronavirus disease 2019, and this is the virus, SARS-CoV-2. By screening, we need a bit of this genetic material. We use, the method is called PCR, polymerase chain reaction. So the transmission up to end of March, according to WHO, it is transmitted through respiratory droplets by sneezing, coughing, and even when we are talking, speaking, you can see some droplets actually transmit. I'll show you a video later. Secondly is a contact, either directly in contact with those who are sick or indirectly through the surface that they have contaminated. Whether it is airborne or not, we need further studies and researchers to confirm this, but it is believed that it is possible during procedures generating aerosols. Let's say in a hospital, when we intubate a patient, put a tube to help with the breathing, or if we give a nebulizer in asthmatic patients, because that is aerosol generating procedures, the the droplets will be broken into more fine micro droplets. Those are the possible route that we still need further studies to be confirmed. So where does this viruses get through to our body? So the first route is through the mucosa, mouth and nose, because the mucosa in our body is relatively fragile. So the other part is through conjunctiva, through our eyes. That's why we always advise that don't touch your mouth, don't touch your nose, and avoid touching your eyes as well. So I would like to show you a video which was done in collaboration between Japan, this NHK, and the Japanese Association for Infectious Diseases. So we already know that this is through coughing, sneezing, through an infected person, direct physical contact, or touching the contaminated surface. So this video will show you two experiments. Number one is through the process of sneezing and coughing. The second one is just by talking. So you can see that they use a very high sensitive camera, and then through the laser beam, you can see what is happening. Let me just show you. So far, we have considered two main routes of conducting an experiment with a group of researchers. The team will trap particles in the air using laser beams and a high sensitivity camera. This technology allows us to detect droplets as small as 0.1 micrometers wide. The experiment starts. First, sneezing. So you can see the droplets. We can see a large droplet about 1 millimeter in diameter. It quickly falls. These are the bigger ones. But let's look through the high sensitivity camera. So it's actually a very forceful cloud that is going to small particles that seem to glitter floating through the air. These particles are all smaller than 10 micrometers, or 1/100th of a millimeter in diameter. Let's take a look from a different angle. They're small and light. You can see them drifting through the air. These are microdroplets. So the second experiment that sneezing isn't the only source of these droplets. We ran the same experiment on a close-range conversation. People generate a lot of microdroplets when they talk loudly. The droplets between these two stay where they are. They don't drift away. Okay, so these are the two experiments that was conducted just recently. So you can see that the smaller particles actually they don't drop to the surface or floor very easily. They actually hang in the air for a longer duration. Okay, so what are the symptoms that a patient with COVID-19 may present with? So number one, that we already know, a lot of them will have a fever, contributing about 80%. Dry cough, they may feel a bit of fatigue, a bit lethargic. Sputum, the production of sputum is relatively less comparing to others. Shortness of breath if they have got difficulty in breathing. In the newer studies, they may have lost the sense of a smell, anosmia, we call it as anosmia. So in different countries, the definition of a fever, it might slightly vary. In Malaysia, we are taking a temperature of about 38 degrees Celsius and above, with coughing and difficulty in breathing. So I would like to brief you through why is this disease, why are we concerned with this disease? This is a chest x-ray, which is a normal person. It should look like this, in a bit grayish and darkish. This is translucent. But in patients with COVID-19, it looks just white out, totally white out. We call it like a fibrosis because there are a lot of mucus, a lot of secretions, and a lot of inflammatory processes. So it makes the lung white out. If, as you can imagine, normal lungs, the purpose of lung tissues, the lung cells are to exchange gases. And so if it is a fluid filled with a lot of fluid and a lot of these pus-like debris and all this, so the gas exchange capacity will be very much reduced. So in another study, this is in a 3D model that you can see that the site here is showing the normal translucent lung tissue, and all these whitish patches are those infected areas. And so you can see a lot of maybe nowadays you can see from our WhatsApp group on the social media that patients are gasping and gasping for breath. So this is the mechanism. So how do we diagnose COVID-19? Is through a swab. This is the gold standard. We use PCR. We put in a little test tubes, a little tube into the nasopharyngeal area, the nose and the throat area, a little bit deep down here, and take some sample, some specimen, and run in laboratory. So this is the standard one that we call it as a PCR. So once confirmed, this is COVID-19, we classify patients into different categories. First is asymptomatic one, that means they seem to be okay, not much of symptoms. Second, they have got some symptoms, but it doesn't reach the lung tissues, so they don't have pneumonia. So the most severe one is critically ill with multi-organ involvement. So majority, about 80%, are actually mild cases. 15%, this is severe cases that need hospitalization and need some support intervention. And about 5%, they are critical, they need ventilatory support, they need a machine to help them in terms of breathing. So this is a news that was posted on the 3rd of April. In Malaysia, we are actually preparing for more spaces. This is in Serdang. The government has prepared this, has used this MAEPS in Serdang to build 600 beds location, so that if there are more symptomatic or mild symptomatic patients, they can be allocated there for further care. So this is the list that facilities in government as well as private sector that can provide such tests for this PCR COVID-19. So I'm coming to the second part of the presentation, precaution. So in this critical timing, what can we do to protect ourselves and our family members? So number one is washing, hand washing. Second, avoid touching. We have mentioned just now, your eyes, your mouth, your nose, and cough etiquette. Social distancing is very important too. Okay, so wash your hands. There are two options here. If your hands are visibly dirty, let's say if you quote the video just now in the earlier session, if you sneeze and there are some mucus being stuck on your hands, the preferred way of hand washing is actually use running water with a soap and not hand sanitizer. At one point, hand sanitizer and this mask were actually very low stock. If you go to pharmacies, you can't get even a single mask or hand sanitizer, but it is okay. If you can't get hand sanitizer, you can still use soap with running water. If in situations that you can't use this hand sanitizer, you can't use soap and running water, you can choose, the second option is a hand sanitizer, but you must read the label. It has to be 60% alcohol and above. So these are the few key points. You must wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. So these are the timing to wash your hands before and after. I think this is common sense. Okay, I would like to show you another video which shows the correct way of washing hand washing. So I think many would think that I know how to wash hands, but the whole procedure, is it a clear one? Are you sure that you can wash your hands towards a very clean clean mode method. So there are 7 steps. And the first one is, I'll show you here. First, palm. Second, wash the back of your hands. Then interlace your hands. Subsequently, wash the back of your fingers. It goes to the next portion is the fingers, the thumb, and your fingertips. The last is your wrist. So let me play this video and show you. Okay, so this is a very visualized model of hand washing. I think many of us may not be able to wash towards this extent. If you see, this is starting with the palm. Yeah, I think this most people can do. This one, no problem. So the second one is, this is, he did the interlocking first. Yeah, interlace with the fingers, right? The next one is the back of the hand. So we go to the other back of the hand, left and right. So you can still see there are a lot of parts of your fingers or of your hands are actually left not really properly clean. So you really have to go to the back of the fingers. Yeah. So now left with your thumb, the tip of your fingers, yeah, the other thumb, the tip of your fingers, and then the last one to the wrist. Yeah. So with these 7 steps, then only it is considered your hand is properly washed. Okay, so the second one I would like to show is about mask. I think prior to this, because from year end, December 2019 towards early of 2020, that was the peak period of our influenza A infection. So there are a lot of questioning about this mask. Do we wear the light color inside or light color outside? Sick patients or healthy personnel, are there different ways of wearing the mask? But in conclusion, this is very easy. The darker color, if let's say you bought a mask with blue color, regardless of color, blue one, pink one, green one, the darker color is always facing out. The lighter color or the white part is facing into to your mouth, covering your mouth. Yeah? So there are 3 layers. The standard one should be a 3-ply mask. The outer layer, the colored one, it is what we call hydrophobic. Hydrophobic meaning repels water. Phobic meaning phobia, worried, scared of the water. So it repels the water or any bloody secretion. So it will be blocked from the outer layer. So the middle layer actually is the most important part of the mask. So I think a lot of gradings actually depends on this layer because it depends on the micron, the size, particle size that it can be filtered through. Either it's bacteria or viruses. So the grading goes according to this middle layer. So the inner layer is hydrophilic. It absorbs water because when we talk, when we breathe, there is actually a lot of vapor coming out. So sweating and all this. So it is hydrophilic, absorbing water. Okay. So coming to mask, there are actually a lot of small tips that we need to be aware of. Before we wear the mask, we should wash our hands first. When we cover our mouth and nose with the mask, first you should avoid touching after you have adjusted the nose, the metal piece on top of your nasal bridge, and pull down the mask to cover your chin. Make sure that there is no gap in between your face and the mask. And then, so after you have put on the mask, after you have worn your mask, try not to touch the mask anymore. Yeah? So removing the mask is the reverse. We encourage to remove it from this rubber area. So take out the mask and then, if possible, fold it in the reverse way so that the white color part is actually covering, the dark color part is actually inside, then the white color is outside. So if you have an envelope or plastics, please cover it before you throw to the dustbin. So I would like to elaborate a little bit more from this statistic. If you can see, we know that it all started from Wuhan. So this data is taken from our world in data, very useful. They have got many statistics about the cases, the tests that they have conducted, the death, number of death, etc., etc. So from this chart, it counts from the 10 confirmed cases. So they start plotting from here. So we can see that there was a very fast increment in this slope in the cases before it actually slowed down. Yesterday was the lockdown of Wuhan actually ended yesterday after total of 76 days. So it was actually a very long period. So I would actually like to remind you all, the Wuhan lockdown was actually happened on the 23rd of January. So the day before that, so there were only about 400 cases and 9 deaths in this city. So why did the government decided to lock down the whole city? This is just about the eve fell on the 25th. So this is actually 3 days before the Chinese New Year. So you can imagine that in this city, the population is very huge. This is one of the big city in the middle of China. So the policy maker has to actually ponder the pros and cons of such drastic movement. So if the lockdown didn't happen, you can imagine that all this population will be all over the places celebrating the festive season in the whole country. And I'm sure this is not going to happen. The slowing down of the curve, the plateau is not going to happen like this. So this is in another country, South Korea. I'm sure you have heard about this thing. Initially, because of some religious this gathering, there was a very rapid spike in terms of increased number of cases. Very fast. The spike was the spread was very fast. But how did Korea manage to contain the cases? So you can see throughout this 3 months period, there are different countries using different policies to slow down the spread in the country, the disease in the country. So what they did was they traced very massively using these test kits, the PCR testing. They test the cases, huge number of cases, and they treat those patients in a very short interval. Yeah? So you can see the capacity of this PCR screening. They can do it. This is only in March. From the data that I could generate, they could do like about 10,000 per day. What we did here was up to end of March was about 5,000 per day. So you can see there is a huge difference here. And the second thing about this testing there, very unique thing that they practice is a drive-through. Yeah? So you can see that they have allocated many car parks with this container. So the laboratory technicians, they just stood inside the cabinets, in the cabins, and then they allow their people to just sit in the car, drive through, and then this will actually reduce the timing of waiting and further cross-infection in the hospital. So very efficient, very impressive to me. Okay, so we also know about this Italy. You can see that different policies, different action taken will have total different results in different countries. So this is United States. Up to yesterday, April 8th, there were today is actually already more than 400,000 cases. So this is Malaysia. So what do we do when a pandemic happens? So these are the few things that we have to take into consideration. Number one is the source of infection, people who are ill, who are sick with the confirmed cases. The second thing is the route of transmission. We must take care of blocking this route of transmission, and we look after those susceptible people, the high-risk one, especially in this disease, those with comorbid, meaning those with underlying disease like hypertension, maybe with diabetes, maybe with heart disease, the elderlies, etc. Yeah? So control the source of infection, break the chain, and protect the susceptible one. These are the things that we must, in all decision maker, we must implement this. So as you can see here, this is a model. If let's say this person is sick, from the video you can also imagine if he cough or sneezes, it will maybe transmit the disease to the second generation. Without knowingly, this is, I think a lot of the sick patients, they are actually transmitting the disease unintentionally before they fall sick, because the disease is actually communicable before they are symptomatic. So from this person to this person to this person, you can see that it's a whole lot of a chain reaction here. So what can we do? I'll just show you my clinic. This used to be like, I have got a lot of toys and books in my clinics. So in order to break the chain, from several weeks ago, we started, we kept all the toys, all the books, all the whatever entertainment for children. This is what is happening in real life. So we do our part in our small setting. Everybody, if you can play a role in your setting, then only we can help to contain this disease. So I'll show you this, another chart. So our movement control order started from the 18th. I know it's a tough time for people to be sitting at home and feeling bored, but let's look at this data from 18th of March, the first phase, and from end of March. This is up to yesterday. So you can see that the expected peak is like this, but the true actual cases actually came down by this containment, by this movement disorder. So it actually brought down the cases by maybe estimated around about 3,000 cases. So why are we worried? I'll show you the next slide. This is about the capacity of the hospital settings and the ICU beds. So if you can see that these are the critical care beds according to every 100,000 population. So this is another clearer chart. So in the United States, there are about 35 plus, 30 over beds, which is actually very well equipped and very well equipped. Look at Italy, about 12. Look at this Korea, about the same as Italy, around 10 to 12. But how did they end up with such situation in their country? So that I think that goes back to the policy. The policy actually will make a huge difference. So this is the US, very good backup by right. Can you see Malaysia? This is down. Here we have less than 5 beds for every 100,000 population. This is the reason why we are concerned. So this is from the start. On 21st of March, our DG told us that we have a capacity of 3,400 beds with the extra beds in the Serdang. That will actually accommodate for another 600 extra beds for those who are mild, with the mild presentations. We have only about 300 ICU beds in all these 26 municipal health. That means the general hospitals. We have only about 300 ICU beds are allocated for COVID patients. At the same time, don't forget about other cases, other critical illnesses. We may still have cardiac patients with this cardiac attack, with this motor vehicle accidents, with emergencies. So the ICU base is not only for the COVID, but it is also for other patients. So these are the things that we must be aware. So this is the up-to-date figure. Today we have about 109 new cases. But when we look at this data for risk, we don't only look at the number of new cases, the death. For us, one of the other important parameters is actually how many patients were actually warded to the ICUs. So today, when DG announced there were about 72 cases, 72 cases out of 300 ICU beds are already occupied. So these are the clusters, 4 big clusters so far that we have picked up. One from the religious gathering, a mass one, and then a subsequent one, a wedding, by attending a wedding that you can see from this person. So attended a ceremony, spread it to this many people. Unintentionally, they went back to their workplaces, they went home, and then continued to infect. So this is really a chain of infection that if we have an opportunity to break it from the beginning, then it wouldn't have ended up in 88 cases here. So this is another more severe clusters in Kuching. So from one person towards all this, there are about 83 patients which were infected, 2 deaths here. Currently, 5 are still in ICU. Only 1 was discharged out of the 83. So you can see the severity of starting from just one single person. Okay, so you may have read about this flattening the curve from many social media. So let me talk a little bit more on this. If let's say this is the healthcare system capacity, let's say we have this many beds, maybe about 3,000 beds, let's say, for instance, but because of the surge, if no action was taken, nothing, intervention was done, there is a huge surge of, let's say, maybe 6,000 cases, then it will overload the health capacity. Then we can only selectively choose the patient that we want to salvage. So this is a fact that we cannot be avoided. So we must help to slow down the curve, keep it within the healthcare capacity so that everybody can have fair treatment and proper treatment. Okay, so in the midst of this very critical moment, I think we need to stay informed. We need to get ourselves prepared for a longer term battle. As DG has mentioned yesterday, we have not won the war as yet, but we have neither lose the war. But we need to prepare ourselves for the longer term of this battle. Be smart and be safe. So I would like to conclude it as we need to have immunities not only in terms of physical, we need to have mental immunity, that means stay positive, stay strong, and we need to be prepared for our financial. Very soon we are going to see this financial recession in a huge manner. So when I look at this chain of this break the chain, I actually, it's just like as though I look at this our marketing planner. Tough time never lasts, but tough people do. So we know that we have a lot of difficulties being contained at home, but we have to be aware that in our hand, in this platform, we have an extra opportunity that we can do the reverse. So though physically we cannot be in contact with others, we are supposed to break the chain. But on the other hand, this is how I look at it. You can build your network through this platform. You can help people to live better lives by offering the needs, regardless whether this is maybe good quality products or maybe some financial proposal. So we can do this by building the network. Vice versa, in a contrast manner. So why is that so? So we have a very supportive company here. I will show you the measures which was done since March. We have a very strong protective marketing plan, very fair marketing plan. We have great quality products which can maybe boost your immunities, maybe can help to improve your environment at your home setting or your workplace. Strong established systems. We have got leaders and teammates very supportive. So these are the measures that was actually implemented since the whole COVID illness. So one is the company actually brought down the sign-up fee from 90 ringgit to 30 ringgit. So this is actually a difference of 60 ringgit. 60 ringgit. This is the delivery quota, the free home delivery quota. It was originally 300, so now brought down to 100. That means if you purchase more than 100 ringgit, you can actually get delivered to your place without going out to collect the stock. So we have got extended hours, we have got online learning sessions, so there are many more. So I want to show you. This is a tough time, but there are in reverse many things that maybe you can do at this moment that usually you don't have time to. I mean, in the usual time we have to spend like maybe quality time with family members, with your kids, but now you can spend quantity time. This cake was actually made by my teammate in Terengganu. I'll show you down. Yeah, so very creative way. This was made by the couple. I'm sure even if you were during without the MCO, without this motion control, this order, you won't be able to make this with your family. Yeah? So try to spend your time in a more precious manner, more productive manner. Yeah? Okay, so I'll come to the summary. Yeah. So in order to combat this combat this virus, we have to control the spread of the disease by breaking the chain and protect the vulnerable populations. So I think prevention is always better than cure. We can learn from other countries' experience. We can learn of many other platforms. When we want to share information, be wise. Okay? Look for reliable sources rather than sharing, just keep on forwarding a lot of fake news. So go to reliable resources, like maybe our Minister of Health and this InfoSehat has got a very proper, very up-to-date post. Go to this the CDC, Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, go to WHO, and many other reliable websites to obtain your data. So I think this is all that I would like to share with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. Thanks, Dr. Wong, for such an informative and helpful sharing. I personally learned a lot. I believe same goes to everyone. So during this critical MCO period, it's very important for us, like what Dr. Wong have mentioned, for us to learn the right knowledge and also only listen to official news and websites. So that's enough of social anxiety. I think for the first time in our life, we can stay home for our nation and also for ourselves. So be proud of it. Stay home. Continue to stay happy, and also remember to wash your hands at least 20 seconds at least. Stay positive and stay happy. So, Dr. Wong, do you have any final words for our audience today?
I think we have to keep a very positive attitude, because this is really a tough time that I think maybe once in your lifetime it will not happen again. So please stay home, stay safe, and be positive.
All right. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Wong.